let's begin. Let's begin, Mister. You ate too much, Mister. I know you ever hear that one? That little throwback, or does
Yeah,
anyone
it's been a while.
does anyone call you ate too much, or am I the only one?
You're the only one.
Oh, all right, we're bringing that back. Anyone who watches this, you have to call Shadow you ate too much.
Nobody else knows what that even means. That,
Wow,
that
that's
was
insane.
you're a real OG from back in the day, so
I want to whip out another one, but it's not. It's just in jest. It's not in. It's not meant to be disrespectful. The song of Borealis, you know, never fails.
yes.
Yes. Does it? Did that? How like? I feel like I don't remember, but like, how, or I probably didn't ask you, but was that actually like really annoying at the time?
What well, which song are you talking about, the song that's literally called Borealis, or are you talking about the song that we used in the Borealis video?
No, I'm talking about when like all your siping
Oh.
clips were with Borealis, and then people were calling you
Oh
Song
yeah,
of
yeah,
Borealis.
yeah. I thought you said song, not
Oh
solve.
no no
Yeah,
no.
no. Yeah, so I mean that was I mean it was kind of annoying, but I didn't really care. I mean people were right. That is the only weapon I used and it was fun, but I don't know. I mean I don't think people should make fun of you for liking a weapon, so I didn't really care.
Facts, that's true. And you're hitting clips. You're hitting clips. So like, I think maybe they were a little jealous of your skills with Borealis. You know?
Who knows, you know? It's hard to say.
Yeah. We'll leave that one in the past. Well, I don't know how many people remember that, but all right, we can get started on Atlas 3. All right. So I just want to start like off the top, at the start of oh shit, I have to loop the video at the start of my questions. So kind of walk me through when you decided like I'm gonna do this myself instead of um going and working with an editor.
Yeah, so I think at the time when I was getting ready to make Atlas 3, like I was considering working with an editor at one point, but none of the ones who I wanted to work with were really available. And I at the end of the day, I just kind of decided like I know that I can put in like an absolute crap ton of time into making this the way that I want. And
Right.
to me that was just the best option because regardless of who else I gave it to, like they would still do a great job, of course, but having that creative control myself was something that was really attractive to me at the time. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna edit this myself. And at the time that I made that decision, I wasn't like the best editor in the world, but I was like, I could just spend a lot of time on this and teach myself along the way, and it'll be just like a fun long-term passion project. So that's kind of why I decided to edit it myself.
Yeah, and I feel like it really turned out pretty fucking good, honestly, for your like how like your experience editing, um,
Hmm.
and also like I like had you thought that in the past as a player, like dealing with editors, like man, I wish I could just do this myself, you know? But you just never
Um,
like you were never like, oh, I need to like dedicate myself to learning how to edit so I can do it.
No, not really. I was
No.
fine. I was fine with working with editors, but
Okay.
there is something to be said for the whole having a vision and then being able to execute on that on yourself rather than explaining it to someone else, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I never really had a bad experience working
Right.
with someone.
Right. And also like you have to just start somewhere. Like obviously all no editor starts out as good. So
Of course.
but I mean, for this being like a beginning venture into a new area of creative expression for you, I feel like it went really smoothly, in my
Thanks,
opinion.
man.
Were you like surprised at how well it came out?
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, but also like I had edited other things in the past. Like this wasn't the first montage I made. At one point I was doing commission work as well, and like I had done plenty of montages before, so it's not like this is my first ever project. But at the same time, like I'd never done anything close to this level before, so
Right.
it was definitely a learning experience.
And you put a lot of pressure on yourself like taking on such a big project, but at the same time I feel like that made you sort of like step up to the plate because you like upped your game. You're like, all right, it's gonna be some good shit and I can do it. So then you did it.
Yeah, but basically the mindset I had was like, this is gonna take a really long time, but that's fine. It's just a fun, passion project for me. So I was just gonna spend, a really, really long time on it, and I had fun doing it. So that's all that matters, really.
Right. So in the description, you say like it took you obviously a really long time. Do you have like the exact hours? Did you like count or just like an
Nah,
estimation?
I have no idea how
Okay.
long it actually took, but
Probably
it
felt
was
like
like,
a really long time.
yeah, I don't know how many hours, but I just kind of worked on it whenever I had free time, but I didn't have a lot of free time, so it took like many months, from
Right.
the first time I imported the clips to the time that I actually published it. Like, and I took some breaks that were like a month long in the middle of it too. So
Sheesh.
it definitely took a long time in terms of months, but I
Right.
don't know in terms of hours, also just quite a long time.
Yeah. But also taking those breaks can sometimes like lead to greater creativity or like coming back with a new some
Yeah,
new ideas.
I
So
think.
it's not entirely a bad thing to have a project be stretched out that long.
Yeah, I think at one point I I might have even edited someone else's montage in the middle of editing mine, so I
Holy
probably learned
shit.
a thing or two from that and then came back to mine.
That is straight dedication. Wow. Okay. Um I really like this one. Which part of like well, obviously you said you'd done, montage work and stuff, but like before you started doing that, how did your like what was the easiest part of editing that you thought like wouldn't be easy, like before you started? Not just with Atlas 3, but like editing montages in general. And if you want to answer it from like a content perspective, because, before you made content, you had a view of what might be easy and what might be hard, and now you make a lot of content. So I would like to hear both areas if you have an answer.
Sorry, could you rephrase? Is the question like what did I think would be easy and what did I think would be hard and
Yes,
versus what actually
about
what it was like?
yes, for editing montages and also making content like just regular Destiny videos.
Yeah. Okay. So for the montage side, I didn't necessarily expect sound to be easy, but it's a whole lot more complicated than I anticipated. Now looking back, like I think that the the difference in like sound design, like sound effects with the music manipulation as well. Like I think the difference in sound design can make a montage be like a 6 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 depending on like how great your sound design is. So that was definitely something that I didn't expect to take as much time as it did, but towards the end I got really into it, like
Oh
adding all
yeah,
these subtle whooshes and stuff and like things that you wouldn't really like notice necessarily if you're just a super casual viewer watching it on like phone speakers or something. But
yeah,
if you put on like nice headphones and really pay attention, you can pick up on these like subtle things that were really cool. And so I liked doing that, and it was something that I didn't expect to be so difficult and time consuming. But I also thought it was really cool and really fun. So I definitely learned a lot from that. And then in terms of content, I guess for regular videos, like the amount of pre-production that goes into the stuff that I do nowadays is like insane. Like
right.
sometimes I spend like weeks just planning a video
Hmm.
before I even record anything or script anything.
Yeah,
Like just the amount of planning that goes into creating the types of videos that I do nowadays is insane, and I don't think that my past self or many other people like fully understand just what goes into making a video like that. So yeah. I guess that's the other thing that like in the past I was like, yeah, I don't really know what goes into making a video like that, and I just kind of assumed it was easier than it was. But
right,
now that I do it, yeah, there's just a lot of planning that goes on behind the scenes that most people don't know it even exists.
right. But that results in a really nice product at the end. So like
Of
you
course,
put in a lot of
yeah,
time and you get a really nice
that's
thing
the
out.
reason you do it exactly.
Yeah, interesting. That is very interesting about the sound. I feel like that's definitely something I hear a lot of people talk about is like when you watch a lot of montages, then like you start paying attention to smaller details, and a lot of those like
Yep,
little things start standing out, like color, theming of effects, like the sound, and it's just different ways that you can really elevate things you make. So that is
exactly.
very interesting to hear, and really cool to hear that you like got into it at the end. Um, I feel like that is did it make you like excited to after you finish this montage, did it make you excited like you do like an Atlas 4?
No, not really, to be honest. This
Right.
was after this, at this point when I published this montage, my YouTube was kind of taking off, and I don't really have plans to make an Atlas 4 myself.
Yeah. You're like, thank God, bro. I
I
don't have to do it again. Yes.
It's not, it wasn't really that. Like I did enjoy it. It's just I don't plan on making another one simply because of how much time it took.
Yeah,
Um,
there's just better places
but
to apply that time
yeah, I
for
guess so.
your goals.
Right. I mean, as a creator, montages don't get tons of views, and they're
It's
like
true.
substantially harder to make than any other
Yeah,
type of
yeah.
video,
The
really.
time
So,
invested versus like views you get out of it is just makes no sense.
yeah. Well, that's just from a business standpoint. But like I said, like I really did think this was like super fun to make, and it was a passion project. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
from a business standpoint, you understand. But like, I would be potentially open to making an atlas for at some point on like the Revere channel, working with an editor or something like that. I'd be open to that. I mean,
Yeah.
I have hit some clips, in the
Oh
past like
yeah.
few years.
Right.
Nothing quite as insane as the Atlas 3 clips, but I have some things saved up from the past few years that I
Okay.
could put towards a project like that, but probably, yeah, definitely not on my main channel, and I would not edit it myself.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, there's still that's good to hear that there's some things, some threadlings there. There's some
There's a potential,
there's some
yeah.
potential. We'll keep that in the back pocket. You know what I'm saying? We'll put a pin in that one.
All right.
So my next question is, how did you choose the song? How did you have this one loaded up? I know a lot of
Mhm.
editors will like will like hear a song and then just like sit on it, like pray no one else uses it. So is that how it was with Atlas 3?
I mean, yeah, to a certain extent, I was looking for a song for the longest time, and then
Uh
this
huh.
one came out, and I was like, yes, this is the one.
Okay,
So
so it
yeah,
released and then you heard it and you were like, okay, I need this. It wasn't already out and you found
yeah.
it. Interesting.
No, it released, and I was like, yeah, I'm using this. And because it took so long to finish the edit, I was hoping that nobody else would use it while I was, still
Yeah.
not done. Obviously, like I said, it took many months, so I was,
You're probably sweating.
there was a while where I was like, this song is in production. I hope or this video is in production. I hope no one else uses the song. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a song. It's not a huge deal if someone reuses it, but also it's kind of cool if you're the first one to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yes, I definitely agree. It's like when you get the banger song, you're like, oh, and you like feel good about it. You're like, I hope no one else does it, but it's not
right.
the most, it's not like gonna fucking ruin the whole project, but because
Yeah,
so
it's not like
everyone's
you'd
gonna use the
scrap
song
it.
differently. So, but
Of
that it's
course.
it's cool, having it be your own thing, like you said. Okay,
Yeah.
so um, when you were looking for a song, you knew like, okay, it's got to be like electronic or something along those lines. Like you were not like you knew. Is this like your favorite genre of music to see in montages?
Yeah, generally I
Yeah,
think so. I think it fits. I think it fits like the Destiny like vibe and colors and
right.
like
It
fantasy
always
theme the
fits.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it fits the best with the the type of cinematic stuff that we have in Destiny. But also I wasn't like hard set on it. Like I was still considering other
Hmm.
genres, but I was pretty sure it was gonna be something in
Yeah.
this genre.
I see. I see. Yeah. When you get that like when you have that like vision, it's like only one thing is gonna fill the vision,
Yeah.
and then you just wait until you find the thing. Um. So let's see. I'm definitely interested to ask this one. I want to ask where you would rank Atlas 3 in relation to 1 and 2, but in like different areas. Like in
Right.
terms of like your in terms of like the clip quality. Let's start with that.
Uh-huh.
Clip quality. Where does this rank?
So clip quality, I think Atlas 3 is by far the best. Atlas 1 had, some like crunchy 720p 30 FPS like console clips in
Some
there.
you ate too much.
Um,
That's what we're talking about.
there were some not so great quality clips in there. And then also like they were just old, and they weren't the best because I was still new back then. So
Yeah, and the game
um
changes a lot as well.
yeah, so yeah, and then Atlas 2, like, the clips were a little better, but at the
Upgrade.
same time, like they don't come anywhere close to Atlas 3 in my opinion anyway. So
Right.
um yeah,
Okay.
in terms of clip quality, definitely Atlas 3.
So that's the easy one. That's a
Yeah, that's the easy one.
Okay. That's cool to see your like progression. You start out and then you keep getting better. Um,
Yeah, I guess so.
Atlas 4 is gonna be some fucking bangers. That's all I gotta say. Okay, but okay. So ranking them again on the clips, three's the best, definitely. How about
Yeah.
just like overall how like the project turned out, everything considered?
Everything considered. I mean, obviously, I'm biased just because did everything for Atlas 3, but my Atlas 3 is my personal favorite.
Right.
And then after that, I'd probably go Atlas 1, just because I really like the edit. Aki's the goat, so
Yes, he is the goat.
uh, Atlas 2 was, pretty decent. It ended up feeling a little bit rushed to me because I basically was like, this needs to be done in like two
Right.
weeks or something,
Wow.
and yeah, we got it done, but it was,
Whew.
it felt a little bit rushed at the end of the day, which it was fine. I have no
Yeah. Yeah.
complaints, but um, still, I feel like that there's a bit more time put into the other ones, so.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't know that about Alice too. That you were rushing it. Why did you just like really want to get it out? Like, had you said that you were gonna get it out at a certain time?
Well, I think I was going to post a video of like all my clips.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't want to like reveal them
Yeah.
all before I showed people the montage. So
Yeah. Like, dude, I want to post my highlights. Please finish the edit. Interesting. Okay, dude, that's like a little secret factor. I had no idea.
yeah. Also, I wasn't like a massive fan of the music in the second one. I think I chose it together, me and the editor, and it was all right, but like I prefer the music in one and three a little bit more. So I
Interesting.
think that's
Okay.
another factor that makes me like those just a tad more.
Okay. So, on the topic of other editors,
Yeah.
did you take inspiration? I'm sure you probably did, but I want to know like if you can pinpoint specific areas you took inspiration from other editors, like to work into your own work here.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, I've basically watched every like semi-large Destiny montage there is. So
Yeah.
obviously take a small amount of inspiration from everybody and everything that I've seen. Just everyone always takes inspiration from things that they've
Facts.
seen,
So you're
even if
like
it's
it's like a sponge.
subconscious.
You're like a sponge.
So yeah, like obviously there's a little bit of inspiration from everybody, but I'd say more specifically there was some inspiration taken from Aki and my first Atlas one because I kind of wanted to keep them on a similar like theme overall,
Right.
similar feel. So there was definitely some inspiration there. In terms of a specific moment, I think there was this one cinematic on the Radiant Cliffs where it zooms in on the character and next to a heavy ammo box, and
Oh
then
yeah,
like
the
the depth
heavy
of
zoom
field shifts
in.
from
Yeah.
the depth of field shifts from the character to the heavy ammo, and
Yes,
then
the
like it picks up
classic.
the heavy ammo. So yeah, that's obviously a reference to the like Psychosis Harv montage from
Yeah.
like ages ago. But so yeah, there's like something like that. That was directly inspired by that, obviously. But other than that, like I feel like most of the cinematics are original, and that's really what I was going for. Like I didn't want to make something that was just the same as every other Destiny montage you've ever seen. So a lot of the
Right.
cinematics, I tried to take a new approach that I hadn't seen before. So
I feel like it definitely shows like you really put in the time and effort to make sure that it was your own personal touch on things. And like you said, yeah, everybody takes inspiration, and that's part of what is so great about like creating things and making art is that you can take what other people have done and then put your own spin on it, and it comes out in a completely different way. Like I don't watch you do the heavy ammo thing and think like, oh, bro, I already did that. I think like, shit still looks cool. I'm glad he used it.
right, yeah. I mean, the important part is putting your own spin on it. I think it's really lame if you just carbon copy something that someone else did. But
Right.
at the end of the day, like everyone is inspired by somebody. Nothing is 1,000,000% original. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my take on the whole the whole thing.
And I would say I feel like you did a really good job of trying to keep it in the similar themes like colors, effects, pacing as like Atlas 1 and 2. Like it definitely fits in
Yeah,
with
thanks,
the
dude. I'm
overall
glad that.
creative flow. Like I can tell like saying that, hearing you say that now, I can tell watching it like I can tell your goals and your vision were
Cool.
definitely
Yeah,
executed in a efficient way.
I'm glad that's apparent because I wasn't sure if it was gonna be. So I'm glad someone else could tell.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I
Cool,
mean,
cool.
it's fire, and you put your spin on it. Like I feel like that's all you can ask of an editor as a viewer is like you said, you got to put your own spin on it. You can't be copying someone's homework
Right.
100%. Yeah. So you saying these clips are definitely some of your best. What is the overall 100% best one? No contest.
Um, I don't know. Personally, for me, I like the closer the most, and that's why it's the closer. But everyone can have their own favorite, and that's perfectly fine. But
Right.
for me, I really like the closer because it's the pulse, linear fusion,
Yeah.
and sniper seventh column, and I had been going for a clip like that one for so long, and then
Hmm.
I finally hit it with two jump shots in the same clip. I was
Yeah.
just like, my reaction to that was just like I was just speechless. I was like, what did I just do? Like, how is that even possible?
If you kind of got that
So
like stars aligned feeling, you're like, wow, that is
yeah, and
insane.
dude, the other thing that was crazy about it is I had just hit the throwing knife seventh column clip that was earlier in the montage. I had just hit that like one game before. So
Whoa.
I was like, I was going insane. I was like, what is happening right now? How is this possible? I
Holy
just hit like
shit, dude. You hit the
two of my
ultimate
best
luck.
clips within 3 games. Yeah.
Wow. That makes me want to ask because I don't really, I'm like too ass to actually try to hit clips, but like, do you feel like you can get hot hitting clips and like get a bunch in a row and then sometimes you're like super cold?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, also I think it comes down to how much you're practicing, how much you're playing. Like at that point, I was playing the game pretty regularly, so
Yeah.
you practice enough, things start aligning for you a little bit better. Then yeah, you can 100% go on a hot streak. But
Yeah.
then like now, if I tried to go hit clips, obviously I'm gonna be playing in skill-based matchmaking with us, which doesn't help at all. But um, in addition to that, just I haven't been going for clips in years, so
Yeah.
I'd be a little washed. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I think if you're, specifically going for them and practicing every day, you can 100% go on a hot streak.
Right. So how long was the period of time you were going for clips for Atlas 3, like beginning to end?
Oh, I don't know, a really long time.
A
I
really
mean,
long
I
time.
think some of those clips are just, saved up from over the years.
Right.
So it's not like it was a specific, like, oh, today we're starting to grind for the clips and then on this day we're going to end.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like, and some of the clips were even hit after I started editing. So
Oh,
it
okay.
was definitely a long period, probably at least a year, maybe two.
So when you hit your closer at the time, did you like after you hit it, were you like, that's for sure the closer? Like you didn't think you were gonna have to keep going for something like that?
No, not really. I wasn't 100% sure that it was going to be the closer or
Okay.
anything,
So
but
you're still
I,
you're
I
still
was just,
playing, like still trying to see what you can hit.
yeah, I was just, I'm a lot of the clips in there are seventh column, so I was just like, yeah, I mean, it's another seventh column I'll put in the video, but I wasn't
Yeah.
really sure which order I was going to put anything in. And then when I started editing, I started getting a more clear vision on like, oh, I want this one to be first and this one to be second, whatever.
Right.
Um,
How much? Okay, so obviously we all know like opener closer very important and sort of the ones right by there. But how much precedence do you give to like what happens in the clip versus like how well it might fit with a portion of the song for like that middle part of a montage where it's kind of you can do whatever you want.
Oh, I think it's super important how much it fits with the song.
Okay.
Even when it came to the opener and the closer, like I probably would have been fine totally just putting another clip there if it fit much better than, substantially better than what I put.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
I think it's super important that it fits with the song because if it doesn't fit with the song, then it just feels bad. So,
That's true. And it's like the one you and it's like I don't know, you like I think you said it. It's got to fit with the song. It's an artistic presentation. If it doesn't really fit, it's going to be obvious.
yeah.
I think that's a really difficult thing. How did you balance clip visibility with kind of making things look nice?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of my like core beliefs going into this project was like I wanted to make it viewable for a casual audience who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like obsess over montages every day. I wanted it to be watchable for people who aren't just like, oh, how can you make this clip have cool effect?
Yeah, yeah,
Like I wanted it to be viewable for people who just play Destiny and like seeing cool clips. So that was a really important thing to me to make it so that the clips were, still visible, still watchable, still understandable for people who aren't like montage enthusiasts. But then on the other hand, I also wanted to have some really cool effects and really cool cinematics and all the stuff like
yeah.
that could be appreciated on the creative side. So it was definitely difficult coming up with the delicate balance between like having cool effects but also having the clips be still presentable and easy to understand for someone who isn't super into montages. So
Right. Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense, and it makes me want to ask if you felt any differently back when like for Atlas 1 and 2, like were you
Hmm.
maybe going letting the artist go a little bit more off the rails with things, because those were being like presented specifically to montage audiences.
Yeah, I didn't really tell them either editor to do anything a certain way. I just kind of let them do what they do.
Right.
And I mean, I think Atlas 3 style is more similar to Atlas 1 than it is to Atlas 2. The clip visibility in 2 was kind of bad sometimes. So
Right. Yeah. Does that like as like a person, like a player, like person who hits the clip, like if an
yeah.
editor like completely makes the clip like super stylish and like it's kind of hard to tell what's going on, you get a little annoyed. You're like, bro, come on, like clip looks
Um,
nice.
I I don't get personally annoyed, but I sometimes try to think from the perspective of someone who's never seen the clip before, and I think they might get annoyed because it's like
Right.
I can't even see what happened in the clip. It's like there was just some, boom boom, some sniper shots, and oh my gosh, that was the seventh column. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Like I try to think from their perspective of like someone watching this is just gonna get so confused. They're just like, what on earth just happened? There was some like flash of green shit on my screen, and then a seventh column. What?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
yeah, I try to think from the audience perspective as much as I can. But, personally, I'm fine with having, a montage with a lot of effects. It's fun to watch for me personally, but
Right.
at the end of the
Yes.
day, like there's very few people who can watch something that's completely covered in effects and be like and like understand what happened.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting to think about, like the editor watches the clip hundreds of times. You know, of course they know exactly what's going on. The person who hit the clip knows exactly what's
Yeah.
going on. So it's really
Uh-huh.
easy to get caught up in like, because you already know what's happening, it's easier for you to watch other things happening, but to people that don't already know what's happening, those other things can be distracting.
Agreed.
Very interesting. Interesting answers, Mr. You ate too much. Hmm. Do you still do like commission work, or like when did you stop doing that?
I haven't edited a montage since Atlas 3, so that
Okay,
was the
that's
final
like the
one.
end.
And
That
yeah,
you
that was
did
the
that, and you're
end.
like, oh man, that was a lot of work.
Yeah, it's just an unrealistic amount of work to put into anything else.
Right.
It just wouldn't make sense for me to edit another montage of that scale.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah,
But like
probably
we
won't
said,
again.
we'll see. You know, we'll see. There's potential for perhaps exploring.
Yeah, there's
Yeah, yeah.
potential, someone else could edit my clips. So I'm open to that.
Oh
But
no, we need you on the editing though.
I think it's pretty unlikely for me to try to edit my own video again.
Honestly, I don't blame you. Based on the time you put in, I feel like that's a good conclusion. Did you, after you finished the video, did you like stop going for clips altogether? Was that like the last time you really hard went for clips?
I wouldn't say that there was like a hard like end date on when I stopped going for clips. I would just still play the game, and whenever I
Yeah.
play 6v6, it's like
Like
if
you're
I get
just
a cool clip,
passively
that's
going for
great.
clips at all times on a
Yeah,
low
I
level.
think whenever I'm playing 6v6, it's like if I could get a cool clip, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever like a time where I was like I am going for a clip with this weapon. Like it's been so long since I've ever done anything like that. A lot of
Right.
times now it's just like I play the game, I use whatever weapons I think are cool, and if I get a clip, that's great. If I don't, no big deal. I don't care. So yeah, I think I just kind of transitioned to that mindset, sometime
Yeah.
partway through making of Atlas. I was just like, I'm not gonna like try to get a clip with a certain weapon for a
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
I just use weapons that I enjoy, and if I get a clip, that's great.
Yeah, and I feel like it's obvious to people who have done that, where it's like force yourself to use a weapon if you don't like it or it sucks. That can
Yeah,
definitely ruin like a lot of the fun you have and make grinding for clips or just
exactly.
playing the
It's
game suck.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, actually, sometimes I have used weapons that I really don't like to get, like low level clips for a
Right.
video, and
Yeah.
that's just so painful. Like using like F tier exotics to make an exotic tier list. That's something I've done. It's just, oh my gosh, it's pain, bro.
What's
Everyone
what?
else is sweating with the meta, and I'm out
Oh,
here
right,
using
right.
Cerberus +1 or something.
Dude, Cerberus with the catalyst is fire. I won't take any
uh,
Cerberus slander in PvP. I fuck with it personally, but is that F tier?
I mean, no, not F tier, but it's not the best either.
All right, I'll agree with that one. You're definitely right. What? How much 6v6 do you play like right now in the current state of the game?
not much, honestly.
Like
I
one
don't
game a
play.
day, or like not even one a day?
Not one game a day. I mean, maybe if you average it one game a day,
Okay,
but
okay,
I certainly don't play every day. I'm more focused on making videos these days, and when I need to play to make a video, I play to make a video. And occasionally I just play for fun. Maybe I go do
okay.
some 66 or some trials or whatever just for fun. But I don't really have like a a certain amount that I play.
Was it difficult when you started really putting a lot of time into making videos to balance like being able to still have fun with the game versus like feeling like, well, it's kind of part of the job?
Not really. I mean, a little bit. I think like the game is, I can kind of separate the two, which is nice. Like
Right.
I can play the game for fun, or I can play the game for video, and it's still pretty fun. So I kind of look at it as like a win-win. Like even if I'm playing the game to make a video, it's still pretty fun. And then
Yeah.
also sometimes I just play the game with no objective in mind, just for fun. So in that
Right.
regard, I think it's really lucky. Even if I'm really lucky, even if I am doing something for a video, it's still pretty enjoyable for the most part. Unless I'm using the F tier exotic like I mentioned, then it's a little
Yes.
bit painful, but it's still not the end of the world.
Yeah, that is really interesting because I feel like I see a lot of content creators, just people that play games in general. It happens all the time with streamers. You get burnt out in a game, like you just don't want to play it anymore, and that's really tough when like you're like you're really only big for Destiny, so you don't really
Right.
want to get burnt out on it. So it's really nice that you still have a lot of fun with it. Because I mean, surely that's probably something a lot of people who mainly post Destiny can't say is that they have a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I get a little annoyed with the game, and I definitely disagree with some of
Right.
the development decisions that have been made. But at the same time, like I try to play it a healthy amount so that I don't get burnt out on it. And I think that's something that streamers specifically struggle with compared to people who just make YouTube videos. Like I haven't streamed in like a year, and the people who stream like 40 hours a week, like I
Oh
can
yeah.
understand how they get burnt out because they're playing the game the entire, like all those 40 hours.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, me on the other hand, I might play the game for 5 hours and make a video
Yeah.
and that's it,
Yeah.
like,
You're
and
only
I
playing when
don't feel,
necessary.
I don't feel obligated to play any more than that. But if you're a streamer, then it's like, you gotta get a certain amount of hours per week and, you gotta play
Yeah.
the game for all those hours. So I can totally understand how people get burnt out that way. But since I don't really have a huge emphasis on streaming, I find that I find it pretty easy to not get burnt out.
What did you ever like? Was there ever a point in your content like journey where you were kind of like 50-50, like maybe focus on like maybe go full focus streaming, maybe go full focus YouTube?
Nah,
No.
I mean I was always full YouTube. Yeah. The thing with streaming is that like you don't grow on Twitch. Like it's just not how it works. Like nowadays there are like almost zero people who just stream and grow. Like it just
Like
doesn't happen. Like
organically.
there's almost nobody who just streams on Twitch alone and grows. That it basically does not happen.
Yeah.
Everyone who's successful these days on Twitch is driving people from other platforms, or they got established like way back in the day. So
Yeah.
um, I
Or
was
like you get
always I
brought
was
in
always
by
all in
someone
on
who's
YouTube.
already established on the platform. Like you have kind of a way
Yeah,
in.
but even then, unless they're like the number one streamer in the world, like that's not going to do you that much good because you still have to build your own community, and you're just
Yeah.
not going to do that with the discoverability on Twitch these days. So
Yeah, it's almost like there's just a massive ocean. Everyone's just a little fish. It's really difficult. With
yeah, I mean,
such like a
especially when you're at
saturation of streamers.
yeah, when you're at the bottom of the directory with 2 viewers, no one's gonna discover you. Like
Right.
even in a small directory like Destiny, you have to be at the top of the list for people to discover you. And for the most part, I mean,
Right. And at the same
you have to
time,
scroll
like,
down 30 pages.
yeah,
It's just no
the
good.
barrier of entry is so low. All you have to do is download the game, download OBS, make a Twitch account, you
Right.
can stream.
Yeah.
Like the barrier is so low, so it's so easy for people to just like try to like stream. So do you think that people that stream just like casually are wasting their time if they're expecting or hoping to grow? Like the only way to do that would be if you understood like you can't grow organically.
I think if you go into it with the expectation of like you're not going to turn this into a career from just streaming on Twitch and not being active on any other social, I think
Yeah.
in that case like you're probably just you need to be honest with yourself and
Right.
realize that just streaming is probably not going to grow you so much if you don't have any activity at all in other socials. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything wrong with just casually streaming if you think it's fun and you're not trying to make it a career or anything like that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I did that for years. So
Yeah.
um before I got into content creation, sometimes I just randomly stream, and that was great. I didn't really have any goals or objectives or anything. It was just fun. So there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, that's good that you know, it's all about expectation. It's all about expectation.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes.
if you don't expect anything to happen, then you're not disappointed when nothing happens. So that's a good. That's probably the best
Exactly.
way to go about it. I just feel like I see a lot of people who are like a lot of people who think that streaming is easy and like you can get into it, and also people are like, oh, you could just play video games all day.
Yeah. Well, there's a big distinction between being a creator and being a streamer. Like if you just stream, then I mean, yeah, sure, you do mostly play games, but also there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that nobody knows. And even though like when you're live, you're playing games, you're also reading the chat and doing like a million other things that nobody
Yeah,
knows that
you're
you're
like
doing. And it's
performing basically.
yeah, there's so much that goes into it that people don't understand. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're also a creator in addition to being a streamer or whatever, and I use the term creator very loosely, like streamers are creators, and
Yeah,
creators can be streamers, so but anyway, yeah, I mean, if you are also a YouTube creator and a streamer, then you have like a million things going on behind the scenes because you're also making videos, and maybe you're working with an editor, maybe you're making a thumbnail, maybe you're typing in your YouTube description and coming up with a thumbnail strategy, and there's all these things that people
yeah,
don't really understand.
yeah. It's always there's always more to it, you know, than you realize until you start doing it. Um,
Yeah, 100%. It's not easy.
it's like
I'll say
dude, it's
that
like
much.
designing the sound for Atlas 3. You know,
Yeah,
you
right.
thought before it wasn't that deep, and then you got into it. It turned out it's pretty deep.
Exactly.
All right, so getting back to the montage.
Right.
Um, were there any like did you start and you went full ahead, like you did not redo anything the entire time, or were there parts like you re-edited, or like how much like did you do the first try and you were satisfied with it versus like, oh, this is bad, I have to tweak this.
Oh, very, very little. I did the first try. I mean, a lot of it, it's like, you do something and then you play it back and you're like, oh, is this good?
Right.
Probably not on the first try. You
Yeah.
probably are gonna have to change something about it. Honestly, I think you're doing it wrong if you just do something and first try, you're like, perfect, I'm done. So I think you really do have to, you try something and then see how much you like it and then tweak it a little bit and then watch it again and then see how much you
Right.
like that and then maybe you change the curve on the velocity of the clip 10 times. Maybe you
Yeah.
change it 100 times. You just kind of have to tweak things and keep going back and eventually you find something that you're satisfied with. But
Yeah, it's
yeah, I'd
almost
say
like chiseling. Like you're
very
just
little.
constantly shaving and trying to just get as close as you can to it looking as close as what you want it to look like, just by
Right, yeah,
changing little
exactly.
by little. Um, when it comes to making like full YouTube content,
Hmm.
um, how like how much of the process are you like evaluating whether it's gonna be a good idea? Like, would you start writing a script for a video if you were iffy on if it was gonna be a good idea?
Probably not.
No.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, like I might be, the only time I would do that is if I think it had massive potential, but like I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like
Okay.
fairly confident.
Have you
Because
like had to scrap any major things that like you put a lot of work into?
not really. No. I mean, I think like I kind of go through like an evaluation process before I start working on a video to kind of decide if I think it's something that I should put time into making. And at that point, I just kind of decide like, yes, I should make it. No, I should not. Or
Right.
maybe I'll reconsider it later and I'll put it in my bank of ideas that I've kind of
Right.
accumulated over the
Yeah.
years.
How often are you going to that bank? like all the
Oh, I
time,
mean,
or
yeah, every time I decide to make a new video, I mean, I go in there and I go to the bank and try to
yeah,
decide which one to do next. I just have a, a big list of
yeah,
ideas that I draw from, and sometimes it's like, oh, this one would be a really cool timing to do because X just happened in the game.
right,
So,
yeah,
sometimes it's like this idea I came up with 2 years ago that, wasn't so great back in the day, but now it's actually kind of good. So maybe I should make it, stuff like that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That
and
makes
then,
me
I
interested.
have some
Like, if
series as well, like
yeah,
the Mythbusters series. That I've made several videos on that topic. So
that's like the
eventually,
classic.
I'll make another one of those. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A recurring theme on the channel.
Is there any like ideas that you had like super long time ago that you're like that you brought like resurrected, or has like making content changed the way that you think of ideas, and so now like your recent ideas are just more practical at what you want to do?
Yeah, I think generally my recent ideas are better. So yeah, generally I'd say that. I don't think I've revived anything from like super long ago.
Right. Do you feel like the views reflect that your ideas are getting better, like your overall
Uh,
channel?
More or less, yeah. But
Okay.
the thing with views is that they're so dependent on a million different factors, and some of them are completely out of my control. Like, for example, how much do people like Lightfall? That has a huge impact on everybody's views.
Yeah.
And I can't do anything about that. So,
Yeah. That's
um,
you just have to go around it, just deal with what you can change.
yeah. I can only make what the game provides. So, if the game is in a
Yeah.
rough spot, so is every YouTuber who makes videos about the game. And that you might look at views and be like, oh, this channel's not doing so great, and it might have nothing to do with the creator. It might just have to do with the game that they cover. So,
Right.
that's always something to keep in mind.
Do you feel like your audience is more like Destiny 2 fans or more like Shadow fans?
Oh, definitely. I think almost every creator in Destiny 2, people watch them for Destiny 2.
Wow.
Like
You think there's
there are
no
very
personality only people, or very
no,
few?
there are some people who are, slightly more personality heavy, but
Yeah.
there are there are no Destiny 2 channels that can just randomly upload something about a different game and pull the same views. They just do not exist. Like
I would say even
it's just the fact of
if
the
we were to
matter.
just say one, maybe Dado. Like
Yeah,
that's
it's
it.
in certain cases, yes, there are some channels that you can
Right.
post a certain thing, and if it's really intriguing, it can still do good.
Yeah.
But like it's just especially if it's like a small game, like if there's some game that no one has heard of and you post a video on it, it's just not going to do as good as your Destiny videos. It still might do okay, still it
Right.
might do quote unquote good, but
Yeah.
there are very very few channels that are mostly personality focused. So
Is it frustrating having so much of like your success based on the game and so much of the game's success is out of your hands?
I wouldn't describe it as frustrating, but it can be a little worrying sometimes,
Right.
like for example, like we don't know what's gonna happen after the final shape. Every Destiny creator is scared of that because like in 2 years, what's going to be happening in the Destiny world? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
The game's not going to go away. We know that. But what if
Yes.
there's a repeat of D2 vanilla where it's just a disaster? Like that could be really
Oh, brother,
bad.
I hope not. I hope
So
not.
yeah, we're always like concerned for the future of the game, obviously, because it's tied to
Right.
everything. But um, yeah,
I
I wouldn't say quite frustrated is the right word.
Right. Cuz at the end of the day, it is out of your hands, so like the only thing you can control is how you react to it. So if you want to be frustrated, then you can be frustrated, but it's not going to change the way people receive the game.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not logical to worry about it too much because there's nothing you can do anyway.
Right. Do you feel like some people get too worked up over the game considering like they can't control it?
No, not well, yeah, I mean, of course there are some people, but
Right.
not I wouldn't say that most people do. I mean, I think it's completely reasonable to give, respectful, constructive criticism,
Yeah.
on your social media of choice. That's totally fine. I mean, there's certainly people who take it overboard and get disrespectful. That's obviously not
Yeah.
okay, but
Yeah.
I think as long as as long as you're reasonable with it, I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. And I feel like Bungie's track record this far into Destiny 2, like the player base kind of has seen the game go through so many different ups and downs that like everyone knows, Destiny is still going to be around, but at the same time we also know like the game just fluctuates. Sometimes it gets worse, sometimes it gets better, and that's just the
Yeah.
the way things are.
I think it also has been relatively stable over the years though, which is really nice. Like Destiny fans are really dedicated. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who've played since the beginning. So
Dude,
that
that's
is
why
definitely
like
a nice
every
thing about it.
creator is Destiny, like the fans. I feel like people don't understand how, like you said, how crazy the Destiny fan base is. It's just they're not vocal. It's like the people that aren't on Twitter who like aren't posting shit. It's like the casuals. There's a reason they cater a little bit. Like, would you say they cater to the casuals?
I wouldn't describe it quite that way. I think Bungie tries to cater to a wide audience, and in
Yeah,
some cases that does appear to be like catering to the casuals, but I wouldn't say that's directly the goal. I think they're just trying to make people happy, and
yeah,
sometimes the vast majority of people are not you, and that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So
It is. It
I think
does
they're
seem
just
like
trying to make the
it's
game successful, and
yeah,
at the
and
end of the day, that's
they
what we
have
want.
such a wide audience. Like they've kind of shot themselves in the foot making a game that like has so many different levels of challenge and content. Like obviously it's great because it's like good game and we all love it, but like there's so many levels to this now that they probably like never anticipated they were gonna have to deal with when they were like thinking of ideas. So
Yeah,
I'm
remember
not trying to be like I'm not trying to be like a
Destiny
Bungie dick
was
rider, but
Right. I mean, Destiny was supposed to be like there's supposed to be like 3 games out by now. Like we're supposed to be almost ready for Destiny 4 based on the original plans. So,
yeah,
yeah, back in the day they definitely weren't planning for Destiny 2 to be like something that goes on for this long.
oh yeah,
And I think Destiny 2 is just gotten massive with the amount of stuff that's in the game, even with the DCV existing, like there's
yeah.
still just so many things in the game. There's thousands of weapons and thousands of armor pieces. So
Yeah,
it has definitely built up over the years and it's gotten kind of crazy.
I honestly feel like as much as people expect a lot from Bungie, this is a little bit of a Bungie dick ride, but like I feel like it is difficult to keep like this game has never like seriously died since D2 vanilla, and I feel like that is something that people don't celebrate enough because they're so used to like getting really high level content from Bungie, so they're held to a high standard. But at the same time, like they've maintained a relatively stable game for so many years, which is something a lot of
Hmm.
game studios can't say.
A lot of games just die in the first year. So, I mean, and
Yeah,
Destiny almost
they're
did as
not
well
even
with like
built
Curse
to
of Osiris.
last.
But
Yeah. Oh yeah,
yeah, I
dude, they're
mean, I
close.
think, yeah, no, I mean, the Curse of Osiris, the game was like weeks away from death.
Yeah.
But
Whoa.
yeah, I mean, it has been great that I'm very glad that it did not die in Curse of Osiris. That would have been very unfortunate.
What would you be doing right now if the game died? Still like computer
Oh,
science?
yeah, I have no idea. I'd probably be graduating from college around now.
What was your like original that you wanted your original plan? Like if like the Destiny didn't work out. Do you still have one?
Well,
Like
I never expected this to become a career, but
right.
I was originally, I was just going to school as a computer science major, and I was going to get a job in that field, and that was the plan for forever,
Yeah.
and then this kind of came along, and I was like, well, this is quite more preferable, so I
Yeah.
ended up getting more serious into this, and yeah, eventually I decided to pursue this instead, but yeah,
Wait, so
if
did
that never
you
happened.
finish your courses or no?
I finished the semesters that I was in, like
Right.
it's not like I dropped out in the middle of a semester, but
Yeah.
I didn't finish my entire degree, no.
But I mean, when you look at these two, it's like that can be finished at any time. You don't know what's going to
Right,
happen with
yeah.
Destiny. It's kind of like a time anomaly. So the people that take the Destiny opportunity by the horns are like benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to, be a creator for a long time, but if worst comes to worst, I can always finish my degree.
Do you like want to try like do you think you could transition some portion of your audience away from Destiny 2 if you absolutely had to?
Some portion, absolutely. A lot of people, definitely not. um,
Right.
I think people, it's just when you think of audience overlap, it's just like there's not going to be a huge amount of audience overlap with literally anything. Like, I could take a guess and be like, I think a lot of people that play Destiny also might like X game. And then
Yeah.
if I played X game, there might be a small percentage of people who are like, oh, great, I play that game too. And, they're happy
Yeah.
and they love the content. But everyone else, like the like 90+% of
Yeah.
people who
Yeah.
don't play this other game are going to be like, what the heck? I subscribed to this channel for Destiny and now they're posting some other game.
Right.
They're not going to be too happy. But yeah, I mean, I think I definitely could transition at some point to something else, but the whole idea of like bringing your entire audience along, that's a much more iffy question.
Right. And I feel like a lot of people would might not describe a successful transition as bringing your entire audience, because that's just unrealistic. Like it's going to be
Yeah, it's not gonna
impossible
happen.
to get the entire audience, but a lot of people, if they transition and can even retain like half their audience, I feel like that would be considered a dub, basically.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then the other thing is, of course, you pick up new audience in whatever new
Yeah.
game you're entering or subject matter that you're entering into. So, yeah.
Is there any other game, like what game do you think overlaps the most with your audience with Destiny 2?
Oh, I don't know. It's really hard to say. Um, I haven't really looked into it at all, so I'm not sure I have a good answer for you. But
Right.
I think a solid guess would be other really, really popular games. So, there's
Yeah.
like Fortnite and Minecraft. Those are probably kind of high, even though they're a
Shadow of
relatively younger
Minecraft.
audience. I mean, those two games are generally a younger audience than Destiny, but
Right.
just because of their sheer popularity, if I had to take a guess right now, I'd say that there's a small amount of overlap with those games. And then, there's also other FPSs, there's Apex and Call of Duty and all that.
Right.
Like those probably have some overlap as well. But like I said, very, very small amounts.
You know what I just thought of? You know how you have like the Mythbuster series? Like,
Hmm.
do you think like you could do a Mythbuster with a different FPS and people would like that would get more people watching because like they might really like that format of video?
Yeah, maybe, but not like if imagine you're a Destiny player and you've never heard of Call of Duty. It
Yeah.
sounds unlikely, but imagine you're this person. If I start uploading Mythbusters and Call of Duty, you might click on it because you're like, oh, it's Shadow, it's a Mythbusters video,
Yeah.
and then you just don't care about the subject matter at all because it's like, I don't care if this gun can do this because
Yeah.
I've never played this game before.
Right.
So there might be a certain amount of interest, but at the end of the day, it's like you're not going to sit there and watch a half an hour video about a game you've never played before. So
Yeah.
it's just, yeah. I mean, unless you're like obsessed with the personality who's playing the game, then then I could see you watching a video that you've never played the game before. But
Yeah.
my videos tend to be more topic based rather than personality based. So
Right.
it's more about the game than it is about me.
Yeah. Before you found that that style of content was like really successful for you, um, how much were you like looking at the general landscape of Destiny content that does well? Like, were you kind of trying to see what people like? Did you like do some things that you thought people might like, and then it was just like a trend at the time?
I mean, before I made content, I was just like a casual YouTube viewer who watched random Destiny videos all the time. So
Right.
I wasn't really like trying to analyze it or anything like that. I was just
So
I was
did
just like,
you
oh, that looks like a cool video, and then I watch it. So
did
yeah.
you take more of like how you would view a video into account, or like your audience?
What do you mean? Could you elaborate on that?
Like how like when you're making video ideas, are there
Yeah.
ever do you ever have video ideas that you're like, personally I hate this video but it's gonna get views?
Uh yeah, so this is a common discussion in the creator community. The way
Okay.
that people like to look at it is, imagine there's a Venn diagram. On the left, there's a circle that is what people want to watch, and on the right, there's a circle that is what you want to make. And then the overlap is the videos that you actually do. So
Right. Okay.
you gotta find the golden middle ground where it's like, I care about this video and people will want to watch it because that is what will actually succeed. Because if you just try to go for stuff that people want to watch, but your heart isn't in it, people will be able to tell. And it's just like, this video is gonna end up sucking because you just don't care about it. So, and
Yeah.
then on the other hand, if you make something that only you care about but nobody else does, then it's gonna get one view and that's yourself. So
It is definitely a tough balance. Definitely a tough balance. That is very that's very interesting about the Venn diagram. And I feel like
It's
that's
something that
really,
every creator struggles with. So
yeah, every creator, not even just like making videos, just if you're creating anything, you know,
yep,
it's always about
true.
balancing what you want versus what you can do. Um, wow, we really got into the creator talk, kind of making me want to make some content. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when is Scoob Destiny coming out?
Whew, this is the Scoob Destiny. This is it. People better watch this and enjoy it. Let me see if we have any more questions specifically about Atlas 3 I could ask you. Hmm. So I noticed that the montage has 50K views. Do you feel like that's a fair reflection of like the work you put in and like the quality of the product you made?
Um, I guess I tend not to look at it
Right.
like in that sense because,
And also, it's not like you have a
it,
choice. Like you can't make the views magically
yeah,
be is what they are.
of course. I mean, I think at the end of the day, like I wanted it to do well, but at the same time, like I just wanted to make something that I thought was really cool. And at this time, like I wasn't really stressing about views. I wasn't a full-time creator or anything.
Right.
So I was just trying to make a really cool montage. And, if people liked it, then people liked it. That's all I really cared about. I was just
Yeah.
making something that I had fun making and that hopefully some people would like. And I mean, it seems like, based on the comments and stuff, people thought it was cool. So
Yeah,
that was great, you
I
know?
would say mission fucking accomplished 1000%. Definitely something that I feel like is just interesting. Not a lot of players will do that. Not a lot of people will do both. So it's just interesting to me that you have, you have both sides of like the montage perspective, the clips and the editing because those are,
Yeah, you mean playing and editing?
yes, playing editing, sorry, yeah.
Right, yeah. I definitely I do think I have a somewhat unique perspective there just because most people who are high level editors are not high level players and vice versa. But no, there are some few exceptions. But
The rare
um
few. Very interesting. The rare few. That is I feel like we just have to ask the burning question is
yeah.
it was gonna be about Atlas 4, but you already answered that earlier, so I guess I don't have a burning question.
Okay.
We already That was already answered. There's no need
All
to
right.
go back over that. Let's see some before we do some closing thoughts. Is there any fun facts about this video that you think people might be interested to hear? Anything like that the general public obviously would not realize? Besides,
Yeah, I
I
don't
feel
know,
like the
maybe.
sound design was a cool thing that like you didn't talk
Yeah,
about.
here we could talk about this this first cinematic where there's like the Atlas text and then the three. So
Yeah.
I had never done anything like this before. I was very inexperienced with Element and 3D and stuff like that.
Uh
So
huh.
I had never done anything quite like that, and also I'd never seen anything quite like it where it like zooms in and there's like multiple things and the camera flies forward and backward. So
Right.
that was definitely quite the experience. It took me a really long time to get the right shot because the way that like your character flies in Destiny, it's like it's not a straight line and it's really difficult to make it look like a straight line.
Yeah, you can
And
barely tell, like really barely tell, and there's the little back and forth.
Yeah, so I was trying, I was like floating on a warlock and it took like so many takes to get the shot the way that I liked it and to get the like subtle like depth of field blur on the
Right.
background and like the Atlas text when the three comes into focus, everything behind it is slightly blurred. But yeah, I mean, we got that just that scene took quite a while. And also, I wasn't really sure I was gonna do that. Like, I wasn't really sure how I was gonna even do the intro. But
Right.
then I came up with this concept, and I was like, oh, that would be so sick. But I don't know if it's possible. So,
Yeah, did
I
you
it
have like
took
something else in mind, like if this just wasn't gonna work the way you wanted it to?
no, not really. I just kind of came up with this that I was like, if this works, that's cool. If not, I'll have to invent something else. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, this is definitely I feel like it's just sick that it shows you, how much you can do with just like a little bit of learning. You didn't learn a ton, but you learned enough and it was enough to execute your vision. And so that's applicable in a lot of different areas. I feel like people don't always want to just try to learn.
Yeah, I mean, this looked like crap the first time I did it. You know, like
Oh yeah, I
earlier
bet
you
it
asked
was. I bet
about
it was
like,
definitely rough.
yeah, I bet you like earlier you asked about like, how many times did you revise things? Like I revised this part like a trillion times, to
Ooh,
get it to look
yeah,
the way that it does. But I just had so many takes of the footage, and then I had to learn how to, had to teach myself how to use the element and all that. So,
yeah,
um, and there's also stuff like there's a flare in the background with that
yeah. The laser, the little
glowing
Vex
light
laser thing.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, there's so many little things that like most people probably don't even notice that they exist. But
right,
I just put in a lot of time to kind of making it the way that I want it to look, and there was a lot of YouTube tutorials along the way. But
right.
it was definitely fun to research and teach myself all these things.
Yeah, and you might might end up using that knowledge later, and maybe
Yeah, who
not.
knows?
Maybe we'll see. It's possible. But
I think putting that level of production into like a normal Destiny video doesn't make too much sense, but
right.
maybe someday I'll do it and I'll be happy that I know how to do it because it's gonna look so cool. So
Yeah, and everyone will be like, "That's sick. This dude is so good at
yeah,
3D."
that actually kind of makes me want to do it. I want to put like a 3D text in one of my videos sometime with like this like motion tracks. People will be like, "What on earth?" Because like nobody does that.
Dude,
So
that's an idea. That is, and you know how to do it.
exactly.
Ooh, that's an idea. Whew. I would certainly be impressed. I'm impressed just looking at this. That I feel like if I saw that in a regular video, I'd be like, "Damn, that guy really put in the effort." Like I drop that a like for sure. I'm dropping a like anyway because it's Shadow Destiny, but I drop an extra like.
I think that people really do notice that type of thing, like on YouTube when you go the extra mile, like people like it. So,
Yeah,
if any creators out there are listening, go the extra mile. It's worth it.
yeah, I do like, and like you said, when people when their heart's not in it, like you can tell, it's definitely obvious, and the product suffers as a result. So, well, Mister, you ate too much. This has been a wonderful conversation. I feel like I have learned so much about the content creation side of things, and I think that it tied in really interestingly to this particular creative endeavor you had, and it was wonderful to hear your perspective on things, especially coming from I'm an editor, so it was very cool.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, it's been fun catching up. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. And hey, there's you got a lot of other montages. We'll see. Might be room for some more reviews. We'll see what happens.
All right.
See if the people ask for it. But thank you, brother. It's been an honor. Hope you have a wonderful night.
All right. Thanks. See ya.
Peace, brother. All right. Well, if anyone's still here, that was freaking sick. Oh shit! Editor reviews. Oh yeah, we just stopped. Luo, sorry, but it was definitely lit, and I'm gonna post the VOD on YouTube. You guys should definitely watch it. That was some like really cool insight. I feel like maybe just because I don't know shit about content, but I thought it was cool at least. So thank you, anyone. If anyone was in here watching, and if you're watching YouTube, also thank you because that's lit. And I will see you guys in the next Scoob review. Peace.